I totally forgot it was your birthday. My wife texted while celebrating with her friend under string lights. She skipped my 30th birthday, lied that she forgot, and publicly defended doing it even after the screenshots appeared. I stayed silent until the timestamp appeared 8 feet wide behind her. My name is David. I work as an actuary, which means I spend my days turning uncertainty into numbers other people can trust. Claire and I had been married 4 years. She managed marketing for a regional retail chain, and she was good at it, the kind of good that meant she was also good at organizing other people's lives, including her own friend groups. Every Friday night for as long as I had known her belonged, by some unspoken law, to Bree. Bree and Claire had been close since college, the kind of close where Claire kept a folder on her laptop labeled Bree stuff, full of countdowns and Pinterest boards. I noticed that when Bree called, Claire answered on the first ring, but when I called from a conference 2 states away, she texted back hours later. I noticed it the way I noticed patterns in a risk table, without judgment, just data. There were 2 times before this one where the pattern showed itself. The first was our second wedding anniversary, when Claire canceled our dinner an hour before because Bree had a breakup crisis. She apologized for that one, genuinely, with flowers and a rescheduled night that actually happened. The second was smaller, my work promotion dinner, where she arrived 40 minutes late after helping Bree pick out a dress. Both times she said sorry. Both times I let it go. So when my 30th birthday landed on a Friday, I assumed, reasonably, I thought, that for one night the unspoken law might bend. I had not asked her to cancel anything. I had only asked, 3 weeks earlier, if Friday was free, and she had said yes. I ordered a cake from the bakery she liked, the one with the burnt honey frosting, and asked my sister to come into town. I came home that evening with the cake balanced in the passenger seat, already imagining where I would set the candles, with no idea I was about to read a text that would change how I measured everything. The text came in while I was setting the cake on the kitchen island, the box still warm from the car. Hey, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot tonight was the night. Something came up with Bree. I'll make it up to you, I promise. I read it standing in my kitchen, the overhead light catching the burnt honey frosting through the cardboard window, the candles still in their plastic sleeve on the counter beside me. My sister Mai let herself in 20 minutes later, holding a second cake she had ordered as a surprise, her keys still jangling in her hand. She stopped in the doorway when she saw my face. "Where's Claire?" she said, not really a question. "She forgot," I said. The words sat flat in my mouth, the way a number sits on a page before you understand what it costs. Mai set her cake down next to mine and pulled out her phone without asking. She was the kind of person who checked things instead of waiting to be told them. Her thumb moved fast, scrolling, and then she went still in a way I recognized because it mirrored something happening in my own chest. She turned the screen toward me. It was Claire's Instagram story, posted 18 minutes earlier. Claire, in a green dress I had never seen. Golden light behind her, a glass raised toward the camera, the caption sitting across the bottom in white text. "It's just a birthday, you'll get another one. Bree only gets one engagement night." I did not feel my pulse change. That surprised me later, when I had time to think about it. Right then I only felt the room get very quiet, the kind of quiet where you can hear the refrigerator humming and nothing else. Something in me stopped reacting and started recording instead, the way I logged exceptions in a spreadsheet, flagged, timestamped, filed for later. Mai scrolled further and turned the phone again. "She asked to switch her Friday shift 2 weeks ago," she said. "It's still in the group chat. She told them she needed Friday off for Bree's party." She watched my face while she said it, gauging how much I already understood. I did not raise my voice. I did not throw anything. I picked up my own phone and typed a single line back to Claire. "Have fun. We'll talk later." Then I set it face down on the counter, beside the cake she would never see lit. If you had asked Claire, later, to defend herself, she would have said the only thing that ever sounded close to reasonable. That birthdays come back every year, that an engagement only happens once, that she thought I would understand the math of it the way she understood it. I did understand the math. I had simply solved for a different variable than she had, and from that point forward I knew exactly which one mattered to her. Mai put the kettle on without asking if I wanted tea, which was her way of saying she was staying. She works as an event coordinator, the kind who gets hired to run weddings and corporate galas down to the minute, and she had been carrying her tablet case since she walked in, the one she takes everywhere because she is never fully off the clock. She set it on the counter while the water heated. "I'm doing the run of show for Bree's engagement party next Saturday," she said. Not as news, Just as fact, something she had mentioned to me in passing 3 months earlier when she first booked the job. Her mother hired me back in the spring. I've had the venue contract since before any of this happened. She said it plainly, no edge in her voice yet, just stating where she stood in the timeline. She poured the tea and slid a mug toward me, watching me the way she used to watch me as kids when she already knew what I was thinking before I said it. "You know I run the microphone for that whole event," she said. "Programming, slideshow, timing. All of it goes through my tablet." I looked at her for a long moment, and something in the quiet room shifted, some calculation completing itself behind my eyes. I had not asked her for anything. I had not needed to. I asked my one question before she left that night: how the slideshow loop worked. Whether she could drop a new file into the program without anyone noticing beforehand. She said yes. She controlled the playlist from her tablet right up until the moment each segment played. That was the entire conversation. I did not ask her to do anything else, and she did not offer. The week that followed looked ordinary from the outside. I went to work, ran the numbers I was supposed to run, sat in the same meetings I always sat in. Claire texted twice a day, apologizing in different ways, offering to plan something for us the following weekend. I answered most of her texts within a few hours, short and even, the way I would answer a coworker I had no particular feelings about. I did not raise the subject of Saturday once. On Thursday night, I screenshotted the Instagram story before Claire could take it down, the caption still glowing white against the green of her dress, and saved it to a folder I had not needed to create before. I did not know exactly what would happen at that engagement party. I only knew that for the first time since Friday, I was looking forward to a Saturday night. It was 8:15 on Saturday night when the toasts were about to start. The engagement party was held at a restaurant with a private garden patio, the kind with strings of warm bulb lights crossing overhead in uneven rows and a low wooden stage built for speeches. A wide LED screen stood beside the stage, the one Mai used for the slideshow loop of Bree and her fiancé through the years, photos dissolving softly into one another every few seconds. Round tables were arranged in a half circle facing it. Claire stood near the head table beside Bree, close enough that she would be visible to almost every guest in the garden the moment anyone looked toward the stage. She had a glass of champagne in her hand and was laughing at something Bree's mother had said. I was not there. I was 3 miles away, at home, waiting for my phone to ring. Mai walked onto the patio at 8:20, her tablet held against her hip, wearing the black-on-black uniform she always wore for events so that no one would remember her face, only her competence. She moved the way she always moved at work, even strides, shoulders level, eyes already mapping the room before her feet caught up. Conversations near the stage thinned out automatically, the way they always do when someone with a clipboard or a tablet enters a space. People sense authority before they identify it. A waiter carrying a tray of empty champagne flutes crossed her path near the head table, and she stepped half a beat to the side without breaking stride. 2 minutes to toasts, she told him, and he nodded and kept moving. It cost her 3 seconds. She did not look back at him again. She reached the small podium beside the LED screen and tapped her tablet once. Up on stage, Bree's father was already lifting his glass, unaware that the slideshow behind him was about to change. Claire stood near the front row, still holding her champagne, her face arranged in the soft, ready expression of someone about to clap for a stranger's toast. The screen shifted. For a moment, Claire's face showed nothing at all, the blank half-second of a person looking at something her brain has not yet sorted, just colors and shapes resolving. Then the screenshot of her own Instagram story filled the screen, 8 feet wide, her green dress, her raised glass, the caption rendered in white letters that no one in that garden could fail to read. "It's just a birthday, you'll get another one. Bree only gets one engagement night." Her face moved into the second stage, recognition landing all at once, her mouth opening slightly, the champagne glass tilting in her hand. By the third stage, her face had gone somewhere past panic, into a flat, drained stillness, the look of someone watching their own evidence get entered into a record they cannot edit. Mai's voice carried clean across the garden, even and unhurried, the same voice she used to announce dinner service. "Before the toasts, I wanted to share something Bree should probably see too," she said. She tapped again, and beneath the photo, the group chat appeared, time-stamped 2 weeks earlier, Claire's own message visible in pale blue. "Can someone cover my Friday? I need it off for Bree's thing." Mai looked at Claire across the patio. "You told David you forgot," she said. "You asked for that night off 3 weeks before his birthday." Bree's mother, seated at the head table, brought one hand to her mouth and went very still, her eyes moving from the screen to Claire and back again. A man near the back row, someone from Bree's office Claire had met only twice, lowered his fork halfway to his plate and simply left it there, suspended, his eyes fixed on the screen. Nobody else moved either. The string lights kept swaying slightly in the breeze, indifferent. "That's not," Claire started, her voice cracking on the second word, and then she stopped, because there was nothing left in the sentence that would survive being finished. Mai did not raise her voice or soften it. "I just didn't think Bree should plan her wedding around someone who'd lie to her best friend's husband to protect a party," she said. And the garden held its silence around the words, the way a room holds silence after glass breaks. Bree herself had not spoken yet. She stood 3 feet from Claire with her own glass still raised halfway, frozen in the gesture of a toast that no longer had anywhere to go, her eyes fixed on her oldest friend, with an expression that had not decided yet whether it was betrayal or embarrassment. Claire's lie was no longer something only David knew. It belonged to the whole patio now, passed from hand to hand the way the screenshot had been, and there was no version of the evening she could narrate her way back out of. Claire set her champagne glass down on the nearest table, her hand visibly unsteady, the stem clicking against the edge of a plate. She did not say anything else. The slideshow behind her, looping on its own timer, dissolved the screenshot back into a photo of Bree and her fiancé at 22, smiling on some forgotten beach, as if nothing had just happened on that stage at all. Mai called me from her car 20 minutes later, before she had even left the restaurant parking lot, and walked me through it from the entrance to the moment Claire set her glass down. She did not editorialize. She gave me the sequence the way she gives a client a run sheet, in order, with timing. A former coworker of Claire's, a woman named Priya who had been seated near the back, texted me separately not long after, someone Claire had once introduced me to at a holiday party, confirming that the garden had gone completely silent and stayed that way through the rest of the toasts. I read both accounts standing in my kitchen, the same spot where I had read Claire's first text 6 days earlier. I felt one thing, clearly, underneath everything else. Quiet. Not triumph. Just the particular stillness of a number finally landing where you expected it to land. I set my phone down on the counter and looked at the second cake Mai had left behind, untouched in its box. Tomorrow, I had an appointment to see an apartment across town, one I had scheduled 3 days earlier without telling anyone. I picked up my keys and went to bed early, already thinking about Monday. Claire called me 11 times over the following 2 days. I did not answer any of them. On the third day, she switched to texts, long ones, paragraphs that arrived in clusters, apologizing for the timing of the toast more than for the lie itself, asking why I would let Mai humiliate her in front of Bree's entire family. I read every message. I answered none of them. By the end of that week, she had posted something on her own social media, a long caption beneath a photo of herself, looking directly at the camera, explaining her side to anyone who would read it. In it, she wrote that Bree only gets one engagement, that birthdays come back every year, the same sentence from the screenshot, now offered up a second time as a defense rather than a private justification. She had meant it to make her sympathetic. Instead, screenshots of the post began circulating through the same group chat Mai had pulled the original messages from, and several people who had stayed quiet at the party started commenting underneath it, asking why she still didn't seem to understand what the actual problem was. She also called my mother, something she had never done in 4 years of marriage, hoping for an intermediary who might soften me. My mother listened politely, said very little, and called me afterward, only to tell me that Claire had not once, in the entire conversation, said the words I lied. She had said I forgot, and then later, I prioritized wrong, but never the simple sentence that would have meant she actually understood what she had done. That was the moment I stopped expecting an apology that fit what had happened, because it became clear she still believed the mistake was the omission itself, not the choice sitting underneath it. 3 weeks later, Mai texted me a single line while I was in a client meeting. Bree just took Claire off the wedding planning chat. Thought you'd want to know. I read it twice before I fully understood what it meant, and then I set my phone face down on the table and finished the meeting like nothing had happened. I called Mai that evening for the rest of it. She had heard it directly from the venue coordinator she still worked with, the same one running point on Bree's actual wedding now, 6 months out. Claire had been added to a planning thread back in the spring, full of vendor links and seating charts and a running joke thread about table linens. Sometime that week, without any announcement, she had simply stopped appearing in it. The coordinator had noticed only because Claire's name disappeared from a shared spreadsheet overnight, replaced by another bridesmaid's initials in the column marked dress fitting, Saturday. My mentioned, almost as an aside, that Bree had also untagged Claire from a set of photos posted 2 days earlier, photos from the bridal shop where 4 women stood in front of a 3-way mirror holding champagne in plastic cups, captioned with all their names except one. Mai had seen the original version of the post before the edit, the kind of thing that happens when someone scrolls past too quickly to remember it was ever different. I did not say anything when Mai told me that detail. I did not need to point out what it meant, and neither did she. We talked for another few minutes about something else entirely, my new apartment, her next event, the logistics of a corporate gala she was staffing the following weekend, and I noticed somewhere in the middle of it that I had stopped thinking about Claire entirely by the time we hung up the phone. My new apartment had 1 bedroom and a kitchen window that faced east, which meant mornings arrived early and unannounced, sunlight crossing the counter before my alarm went off. I bought a single coffee mug at first, on purpose, the dark green one with a chip near the handle that I picked because nobody else would have chosen it. I still have not bought a second one. On a Wednesday night, I made a real dinner for myself, just for myself, grilled salmon and asparagus, and set 1 plate at the small table by the window, instead of eating standing up at the counter the way I had for the first 2 weeks. I lit a candle I had bought on impulse from a grocery store checkout line, not for any occasion, just because I liked the way it smelled. I ate slowly. Nobody texted asking where I was. Nobody needed an answer from me about anything that night, and the apartment stayed exactly as quiet as I had left it, which did not feel empty the way I had expected it to. It felt like mine. By the time Bree's wedding came around, 6 months after the engagement party, Claire had lost the exact thing she had chosen that night over me. The group she had built her entire calendar around for years. I heard the final shape of it from Mai, who worked the wedding itself and called me the following Monday from her car in the venue parking lot, still in her black-on-black uniform, her voice tired in the particular way it gets after a 16-hour event. She told me Claire's name had never appeared on the final guest list at all, not even in the distant relative section near the back. Mai had built that list herself, table by table, off a spreadsheet. Bree's mother sent her in March, and Claire's name was simply not in any of the columns. What Mai described next she had not been looking for. She had stepped outside during the reception to take a phone call from a vendor, and Bree was out there too, alone for a moment near the parking lot, her wedding dress gathered up in one hand to keep the hem off the gravel, scrolling through something on her phone with her back against a stone planter. Mai said hello on her way past. Bree looked up, and for a second her face had none of the performance left in it, none of the bride smile she had been wearing all day. I keep almost texting her when something funny happens, Bree said, not really to Mai, more to the phone in her hand. And then I remember I can't, because I don't actually trust what she'd do with it anymore. She said it quietly, without drama, the way people say true things they have not fully decided to feel yet. Then she straightened the dress in her hand, put the phone away, and walked back inside to her own reception, the door swinging shut behind her on the noise and the music. Mai told me all of it in order, the way she tells me everything, flat and exact, and when she finished there was a silence on the line that neither of us filled right away. I did not feel anything sharp. I felt something closer to setting down a box I had been carrying so long I had forgotten how heavy it actually was, my arms suddenly, strangely light. I thanked Mai for calling, told her to get some sleep after the night she'd had, and hung up the phone. I sat for a while in my apartment with the lights off, not because I was sad, but because for the first time in 6 months I had nothing left I needed to calculate. I still live in the 1-bedroom apartment with the east-facing window, the one that floods with light before my alarm even goes off. I bought a second coffee mug a few months ago, plain white, for no particular reason, and it sits in the cabinet next to the green one with the chip near the handle. Most Fridays now I cook something for myself and eat it at the small table by the window instead of standing at the counter. Mai still calls me after her events, usually too late at night, still in whatever uniform she wore that day, and I still pick up every time. My 31st birthday is coming up next month. I have not decided yet whether I will do anything for it, and for the first time in years, that is entirely up to me. I am not wiser than I was that night in my kitchen with 2 untouched cakes on the counter. I did not learn some lesson I can hand to someone else at a dinner party. I am simply free, and after 30 years, I finally know the difference between the two.